Varka, the captain of the Knights of Favonius. Finally, he is here. Shrimp, Gamba, here. Yeah, no, yeah! I thought it was Diluc. I thought it was Diluc. I finally won the 50-50. Finally, I won with Varka. I won with Katakuri. I won with Gintama. Varka is here. We've been waiting for him forever. We've heard from him since 1.0. So let's see how strong he is and if he is worth your pulls. First of all, his teams. As I was telling you, he is actually a pretty versatile character. While being an MMO DPS, he can be a Pyro DPS, he can be a Hydro DPS, he can be Electro DPS, and he can be a Cryo DPS. And why is this? Because of this talent is his elemental skills. When you're in his elemental skills, if there are Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo characters in the party, Varka's elemental skill will be converted into this, which turns one of his wards into this elements. What this means is that you're going to be applying both Anemo and Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo hits. So he has plenty of teams. Let's start with his best teams. And to the surprise of nobody, this is his premium team. With Durin, with Venti, and with Bennett. Both Durin and Venti are Hex and Circle characters, so they activate Varka's passive, but Varka's Hex and Circle passive is not as important as in other characters. What is more important is that he needs to have at least another Anemo character on his team, and usually that is going to be Venti. However, it is not necessary. Oh. Xie mi amor. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm not gonna cut this. And Bent is the best option, but it's not the only one. And we will say that depending on the team, you can use other options, is more than fine. What other Pyro teams we have that are really strong? The best alternative that has been found so far is this team. This team is actually pretty strong. It gets to the power level of around Kinich. That is 100 and something K DPS, which is only slightly worse than his best option. Chebrus has to be a C6 for this to work, but it is a team with only one 5-star. If you don't have Venti, if you don't have Durin, this is the way to go. But Sadram, what if I don't want to play him as Pyro? You have other options, but they're not that strong, not gonna lie to you. This is most likely gonna be his second best team, which is the Hydro version. For this, you need to have Furina for sure, otherwise I would not recommend you to play a Hydro Varka. You need an Anemo healer, which could be Jin or could be Shanjun, and you need a first slot, which can be Jalan, can be Shincho. Dahlia is not a bad option. So if you want to play him as a Hydro, this is the best thing you could do. How about Electro? Probably the worst version of Varka. So this is the core, and as the last slot, you can play Inefa, you can play Cookie, you can play Raiden if you don't mind about the healing, but I would not recommend it. It's much worse than the other teams, especially if you remove Venti. A good option for the Cryo team is playing Shunyun. He's actually pretty decent with him, and I'm putting here Farusan so you guys can see that she is probably the best substitute with Sucrose in most of the teams when you don't have Venti. If you don't have Escoffier, you can change her for Mika, you can change her for Jin and play here Shenhe, for example. So there's some options, but this is not a great team either. It's not the worst one is the Electro one, but it's not great. And of course, this is actually one of his best teams, but it's not gonna feel like playing Varka, and you could replace Varka for somebody like Ifa and it would work almost as well. This is gonna be more of a Electro Lunar Charge team, but if you wanna make full use of Varka, don't recommend it. It's gonna be strong, of course, but it's gonna be Columbina and Inefa doing the hard work. Cedram, what about his weapons? Well, his weapon is really strong. He is about a 15 to 20% better than the Serpent Spine, which is his best quote-unquote free-to-play option, but this is also a great option. It's probably his second best weapon. Then any other 5-star stat stick should be good. Probably this and Mavoika's weapon are the best option, but Wolf Gravestone should be okay, actually a bit worse than Serpent Spine. And then there's not that many good options, honestly. Just if you don't have any of these, just put him anything that gives you crit rate or attack percentage and go that way. For the set, of course, this is his best option. He activates the 20% crit rate, so that's amazing for him. He wants attack, he's gonna activate this 25% attack plus the 20% crit rate. If you don't have this, I guess you can play Gladiator, or you can also play Shimenawa. It works well with him, but his set is much better. So only use this as a proxy until you get a good set of this. How about his dupes? They're not that good. The first one is pretty bad. The second one is okay, but his weapon is better. Go for weapon, then C2, don't go for C1 because it's quite bad. That being said, his 5-star companions are not that much better than his dupes, so maybe you want to prioritize that instead of getting these two characters and wait to see if Varka gets another support, because it's weird in the state that he is right now. It's been talked 1,000 times that Nicole is probably gonna be a support for him, but we don't know that. We're only playing with hypotheses, so take this with a grain of salt. Final conclusions about Varka. Varka is in a weird spot. He is really fun to play, but he was released a bit weak. If he had been released a year ago, he would actually be on the power level of Kinich, of Mualani, which is not bad. But the thing is, we just got all of these guys released, which arrived with Colombina to the 140 something KDPS, and he stays at the 106 DPS. That's like a 20% less or 30% less than them. So he's not strong, but he's not weak either, don't get me wrong. You're gonna clear him. Maybe the Siege Oslo is gonna be a bit difficult, but you can comfortably clean the Abyss with him. If he gets a support, I'm expecting him to jump up to the 120 something KDPS, which would be decent, but he would still be a bit worse than Skirk and much worse than Nefer, Flins, and Jibai. And of course, Mabuika. So let's see in the future what we get. Should you pull for him? I would tell you that if you're starting, he is not completely terrible, because you're not gonna have DPSs for many elements. He can actually infuse in a lot of them. He can actually play with some quite free-to-play characters and make a good team. He's also a BB applier, so it's always nice to have one early in the game. However, if you're only looking for meta, I would not recommend it to you that much. Maybe I would wait to see if he has a support in the future, and then I would think about pulling him. The last thing I have to say is that he is tremendously fun to play, so if you don't care about meta, forget about everything that I said and go for him. You're gonna enjoy it. Let me guys know in the comments what you think about him, if you're gonna go for him, if you're gonna wait until the support comes. And sorry for my voice in this video today. I got sick, so it's not the best, but I didn't want to delay more this video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.